This is Dave Fashionpour. I want to say a couple words about this official transcript that's on my website here. There's about 16 chapters of this official transcript. It's supposed to have been written by Matilda O'Donnell McElroy, a nurse in the United States Army, assigned to Roswell Airfield in 1947. The chapter 1, which is what I have on the website here, to me, is legitimate. Chapters 2 through 16, I don't know. You have to read it for yourself. But I think chapter 1 is the real McCoy. It's written by the nurse with no one interfering with her and just putting down what she feels, what she sees, what she said to the alien, what the alien said back, and so on and so forth. I think it's legitimate. I think it's fascinating. And I want to make sure it was on the website. See what you think. But the story goes is there was a mortician that lived in Roswell and was called by the hospital one day and wanted to deliver some child-sized coffins out to the airbase. And they started asking questions about preservations of flesh and so on. And he says, hey, listen, if you got that kind of problem, I'm going to have to come out. I'm going to help you. And they said, no, don't do that. Stay there. We don't need you. So then he got suspicious, and he said, I'm going to go out there, but they probably have a plane crash or something, and they probably have bodies, and I could be helpful. He walks in a hospital, and he sees Nurse O'Donnell. Well, this is a fictitious name, of course, but he knew her. He knew her when she was going to school, and she had just graduated and just reassigned to Roswell, and he saw her walking down the hall. He goes, how you doing? I hadn't seen you in a long time. And she looks terrified. She pushes him back. She says, get out now. Do not come back and do not say a word. So he goes, wow. So he's scratching his head, walking up the hall. There, down comes a captain and a sergeant, and they get on his case. They get right in his face and putting a finger on his chest and say, get out. You don't say a word to anybody. Go. So he did. A couple of days later, he gets a call from Matilda, and she says, I got to talk to you. I want to tell you what's going on. He said, okay, I'll meet you at the restaurant. We'll have dinner. She said, fine. So he meets her there, and she tells him the story. She tells him the story that's basically indicated in this transcript. She gets called in. She was on another patient assignment, and she happened to be in the hallway, and they called her in. They said, stay with the alien. Don't leave its side. And it was right around that time that she could hear what the alien's thinking. And she's the only one in the whole hospital that can actually communicate with the alien. So they said, you're going to stay here. So she's terrified. His advice to her was just go back and do whatever they tell you to do and do the best you can. So she said, okay. Well, about a week went by, and the mortician hadn't heard from her. So he goes out to the hospital, and he sees a couple nurses walking down the hall. He says, where's Matilda? But he used her real name, And they said, oh, so sorry to tell you, sir, but she and about 7 other nurses were on a airliner that were going out to an assignment, and it crashed and it killed all of them. So she's no longer alive. He said, oh, but man, I'm sorry to hear that. And he felt very bad and went back home. And that was it. He never heard another word until the 80s, when people found out about Roswell and started going back and asking for witness testimony, and he started telling the story about the nurse. Well, as it turns out, the nurse evidently was reassigned within days after he saw her, which is highly unusual. Normally when somebody's assigned to a base, they're there for 2-3 years, not a week. But she's gone to Montana. She has a husband living in Montana with her husband, and told evidently not to say anything and to turn over everything that she had. She wasn't supposed to take anything with her. Well, she secretly took her own notes. That's what's on the website here. Well, everything was relatively quiet until the end of 1999, right around that time frame, she dies. And her will says, take this envelope that she had been working on and preparing for all those years and send it to this book author in England. Well, the guy got it and published it. He said, I don't know what this is about. I'm just simply conveying what the nurse told me, and here it is. And he published the book. I bought a copy, and it's very interesting. And so that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure that this transcript is on the website here. So read it, and especially, in the first pages here, and you'll get the flavor that it may be true. One caveat is that the book that Mr. Spencer wrote was criticized by somebody. It says, hey, he obviously didn't do his homework. He said, this tale is allegedly from Roswell Witness by the name of Matilda, does not hold up scrutiny, and so on and so forth. So you can see for yourself that there's skeptics and there's critics, and there's all kind of people that don't believe what's going on here. Might I mention that if you were a member of the intelligence agencies in the United States and you didn't want something released, that you would do something like what you see in front of you, some critics, some trying to debunk somebody's true statement. And I don't know whether her statement is true or false. He obviously doesn't think it's true. But there you go. You got both sides of this coin. And that's all I got. Thanks.